It's Sunday morning on CBS, and here again is Charles Osgood.
There are trains, and then there are trains. Those modern trains that streak almost silently across the country these days barely turn ahead. They don't belch smoke and fire the way the real trains used to. The trains pulled by the great steam engines that turned many ahead at places like Wabash and Chattanooga. And those images are part of our Sunday Best, our weekly rebroadcast of memorable Sunday morning segments leading up to our 20th anniversary in January. With Roger Welch now, take a ride on a real train through the cornfields of Nebraska.
The Union Pacific calls Engine 3985 its public relations nuclear weapon, and that it is. .3985 is an enormous mass of steel and brass, over 1 million pounds, the largest operating steam engine in the world, and yet it is not cold steel. To everyone who sees it, touches it, knows it, it's alive, huffing and growling, purring and roaring. Smoke and steam pour from its vents. And well, when the engineer Steve Lee pulls the cord to blow the whistle, folks cheer as if he just sung the choral movement of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony all by himself.
What is it about something this big and oily and smoking and steaming that draws crowds like this, that excites people?
Everybody has a different reason. I think for a lot of people, especially the older ones, it's nostalgia. There are still quite a few people around that remember these things because this one was still running and a lot of its sisters were still running as late as 1959. So you really don't have to be a geezer to remember this.
On its runs across the plains, it fills its passenger cars with dignitaries, politicians, children, entertainers.
All aboard!
But there's no question who is the real star at this performance. The huge black engine is maintained by the Union Pacific, but tending to 3985 is not just another job. It's a labor of love. Engineer Steve Lee and fireman Lynn Nystrom are clearly aware of their role in this drama. They know that they're not driving just another train today. On this run, they represent Casey Jones, an old 97, and the Wabash Cannonball.
When this was built, it was the equivalent to about 4 of the diesels at the time. Now, of course, steam technology has stood still now for 40 or 50 years, and diesel technology has advanced quite a bit. And even though diesels have doubled or tripled in some cases in their power capability, this is still the equal of a little more than 2 diesels, 2 of today's modern diesels. And it can outrun 3 or 4 of them.
I rode 3985s that rolled at 65 miles an hour across the Nebraska plains. And while the ride was soul-shaking, what fascinated me were the hundreds of people standing along our route just to watch the great engine pass. Some with cameras, some with video recorders, most just standing and staring.
And when you go through one of these towns, you get kind of a freeze frame effect. And you get some of the weirdest expressions and looks of surprise and awe and like that. We get a lot of laughs up there.
It's like something out of the Twilight Zone when it comes to
very much so. They don't know if they're having a vision or if or what, or they quit drinking or what.
from children to nonagenarians, come to worship this fire-breathing monster. For the same reason, I suppose, that every child, and not but few adults, want a toy train. Why did Henry David Thoreau walk from the quiet solitude of his cabin out to the railroad tracks near Walden Pond to watch that perfect example of the Industrial Revolution, a steam engine roar by?
The passage of 3985 must be like that of whatever it was that Ezekiel saw. A great cloud with brightness round about it, and fire flashing forth continually, and in the midst of the fire, as it were gleaming bronze. Beyond the power of words, photographs, or recordings. Hours after you see 3985, memory fails. And while you certainly remember the feeling beneath your feet and in your chest, it's impossible to conjure up again in your mind its size and presence.
I've often wondered what happens to this great beast at night. I suppose some workers somewhere guide it into a gigantic stable where skilled stewards rub it down, nurse its tired joints and muscles. Just like a fine horse. Not a racehorse, mind you, but a draft animal, powerful and productive. I suppose somebody turns down the engine's fires, vents its pressure tanks, loosens up its restraints, pedals, and levers.
But I do not imagine for a moment that the great engine goes to sleep. Nothing this big, nothing this alive, nothing this beloved goes to sleep. For all its gigantic size, it seems poised to leap at any moment into full charge. If nothing else, 3985 lives in the dreams of every man, woman, and child who during the day saw its fire and smoke, smelled its fury, heard its thunder, felt the ground shake beneath its driving wheels. It is the grand American chimera, somewhere between Columbus and North Platte, Nebraska, somewhere between the frontier and the future.